Hello everyone, I am Ehsan Latif with Ehsan Ishams and Peter Lim. We are here to demonstrate our final project about synchronous collaborative programming. We are going to discuss our problem of study, our proposed solutions, some user stories, and then we will explain how our design evolved over the time. Then we will explain our testing protocol, testing procedure, and then finally those references which we have used so far. The problem of study for this specific project is about synchronous collaborative programming, which involves collaboration, live coding, and programming. So about collaboration, so we know that like when two or more people work together, we call it a collaborative work. And this problem of study involves live coding when a student or a teacher, they involved in a live coding session. So we need to ensure that like they do a well-established collaboration to enhance the learning of the student. So this live coding for collaborative learning, we know that like without a proper collaboration, it would just be a code cramming. Like for example, if you are in a classroom and your teacher is teaching about some language and he just show you how he does the work and you are just seeing you like, so the best you can do is just to cram that code, nothing more than that. And if you are doing a collaboration without a proper history maintenance and a proper discussion portal, then you will lose transparency and there will be a poor engagement. To overcome all of these issues, we have come up with a very good solution. We will be designing an application which enables a user to do a live coding. It has two major roles. One would be for an administrator and one would be a member. So the members could be a teacher, student, and a programmer. For an administrator, he can oversee he has a power to oversee all of the work going on the system. And as an instructor, he can create courses and he can make teams and he can invite students to a specific course, or he can do a live coding with the students. And this application will have a one-on-one questioning sort of session for the students who are shy, who hesitate to ask questions in a group. And this also allows a peer-to-peer cases. All of the peers will have the administrator role in this system. So this solution somewhat resolve this whole problem. And we have list some of the user stories for this specific project. The first one for teacher. So as a teacher, I want to be able to create a team and collaborate with my classmates in a group. The second story is as a teacher, I want to be able to put comments for students individually or for the whole class. Then again, for a teacher, I want to be able to see all of the students' screens so I can monitor their progress and see if part of the assignment needs clarification. Then as a programmer working for a company, I want to be able to share my work with my coworkers so that we can work on a project together at the same time offering feedback and comments. As a student, I want to see my instructor's comment in real time on my code so that I can improvise my code accordingly. As a student, I want to ask the teacher questions privately so that I can resolve my issues comfortably. Before going into the design evolution, I would like to demonstrate how our system will look like. So this is the main dashboard of the system you can see on your screen. And here you will just you can those obvious things like login, register, and all, they are also there. We are not going to demonstrate them, but as a user, you can start working from here. You can see all the courses over here, like the one which you have registered and the one which you want to do. And if you want to see how to work on a specific course, you can click over here and you can see and you can see how it works. So furthermore, if you want to go on the live coding session, you can go here and you can just click here. Here you can see an example of a program which is running, and if you want to make any changes, and this is a simple edit text box, and then if you want to run the code, you can click over here and the code will run just like this, and you see how it works. So that is how the whole application works. Further on, we will explain further like its features by including more user stories. Now Afsane will explain from this.
Hello, I'm Afsane. So I'm going to explain about first two user stories in the first one, and talk about how we designed their wireframes, their kind of the mockup and the prototype. So about the first user story, the goal is to sending a comment to users individually, or kind of send a comment to everyone. So here in the wireframe, we have three ideations. In the first ideation, we can use the @ sign, but the point is that here the admin or the teacher should know all of the users' kind of usernames. If he wishes to send an individual comment, it's not that much applicable. So in the second ideation, the point is that in the comment box, we have two options to send a comment to everyone or to a member. So here the teacher can select between them. And in the third one, so we have a box including usernames and a checkbox besides each username. So I think the third one would make the screen a little bit messy. These were our three ideations, but for mockup, we selected to go with the second one, as I think it is kind of more appropriate. So in the second one, in the comment box, if the user just click there, he can select between the sending the comment to everyone or to a member by sending to everyone a comment. So here you will see that in the comment box, it is mentioned that this comment will be sent to everyone. And if the teacher or admin wants to send a comment to an individual person, so he can see the usernames and just click the one whom he wants to send the comment to that person. So in the next slide, we will see the prototype design of this. In the first user story, we were, our goal was to just create a protocol or a method by which the teacher could or the administrator could be able to send either individual comments to the students or just send a comment to just everyone. All of the students. So here, this is the user story. The prototype for the user story. Here we can see the different different frames and the kind of interaction line between them. Let me just run this. Here, this is where we want to just send comment. When we click on this part, we have two options, to everyone or to a member. When we hover on each item, it will just change its kind of color, status, something like that. If I just click on send, if I want to send comment to everyone, I need to click to everyone. Then here we see this comment will be sent to everyone, and here we can type your comment. But if I just want to send a comment to a member, or I want to change my mind, I can click here again, select to a member. Here, you will see the usernames of the students. From here, we have created 8 usernames. You can select, for example, which one you want, which user name you want. And after just clicking that person, click on OK, and you see when we hover on OK, it changed its status. So after clicking on OK, here your comment will be sent to the selected members. Now talking about the second user story. So in the second user story, the goal is just to forming a team or a group of the students in order just to assign them an assignment or homework to do it as a team. Again, we have three ideations here. You will see the wireframe here. The first one is just again using the @ symbol, but it has just the same problem. The admin or teacher has to know the name of all the students. The second ideation is just like a box will pop up, including the name of all the students. And the third one is just like clicking on grouping. And then after clicking on grouping, a kind of a box, including those usernames will be pop up. Here we go with the third solution or ideation, because the second one would kind of be messy, because in that case we have to have the name of all the users all the time there. So in the mockup, we will see that this is the case, that by selecting the team or the grouping, the user will see the name of all the users, and just by clicking the checkboxes, he can form a can select the number of the students and just form a group. And at the end, he can just put a name, assign a name to that group. In the next slide, we will see its prototype.
So here, I want to show you the prototype for the second user story. The goal of the second user story is to forming a group of students, and here you see the kind of the frames and their interaction links. If I run the prototype, here on the right sidebar, you see there is an icon for teams. By selecting that, it will its background color will be changed, and also the text color will be changed. Here you will see the name of the usernames. Here we have like 8 users. We can just select those. I want to put them in a group, or we can, for example, unselect or select one of them and select the other one by hovering your mouse on the OK button. It will kind of change its background color. So then click on OK. Here, I'm asked to consider a name for the group. So I want to call it G1. Okay. And again, you see here that by hovering the button, it changed its background color. And if I select OK, so the group is created. If I want to change to form another group, again, I can just click on the teams and just select those I want, and just the process is again the same.
Yeah, Peter.
Okay, for the third user story, so basically it's just simple boxes, and it's about as a teacher, you want to be able to see all the students' screens, so you can monitor their progress and see if any part of the assignments needs clarification. And the idea came from similar to Zoom's function when they're sharing cameras. They have big boxes. They have like a big box within, or small boxes within a big box that shows everyone's camera. So similar to that idea, basically, in the first box, the first wireframe, you see all the smaller boxes that would be each student's screens. And yeah, moving on to the second box, it shows that if you were to click on the certain box, whatever student you want to see, then it would show basically that student's screen, and the teacher would be able to interact with it, leave comments and stuff like that. And for the mock-up, basically we added some pictures and actually how it would look if we added some scripts and consoles. And basically clicking on the icon on the left highlighted by the blue box, it would open up the multi-view, which allows the teacher to see all of the students' screens. And then when they click on, for example, the first student's screen, then the first student's screen would pop up on the teacher's screen and be able to comment and leave feedback that way. And here is the prototype.
Hello, my name is Peter Lim, and I am in the Synchronous Collaborative Programming group, and this is a prototype for user story 3. And the user story 3 is, as a teacher, I want to be able to see all of the students' screens so I can monitor their progress and see if any parts of the assignments need clarification. And the idea came from, like, similar to Zoom's function when sharing cameras in a big class setting. Basically, the teachers will be able to see all of the students' screens shared in their screen, and then the teacher can click on each student's screen to leave feedback to the students. And one of the biggest issues with programming in a big class setting is that usually the teachers would code an example code, and students either have to take note or just look at what they're doing and try to understand. However, with the implementation of our application prototype, the students will be able to code with the professor teacher at live time without just having to take notes, and they could actually interact with the teachers during class. So basically, this is the layout, and click on multi-view, and this allows the teachers to see each student's screens, like user 1, user 2, user 3. Obviously, will be replaced by the student's ID or student's username. And by clicking on this, it focuses on to one of the students' screen, and the professors will be able to leave comments through this discussion, or they could even, if they see something wrong, they could even click on the screen, the script, and just fix some stuff or leave comments that way. And to go back, just press on multi-view again, and they could click on user 2 and so on.
And for the user story 4, as a programmer working for a company wanting to share work with coworkers so they can work on a project together. And the idea came from coworkers being able to work together at the same time and leaving feedback to make sure that it's faster, it's time efficient, and stuff like that. So we basically, for the wireframe, same thing, just very simple, to the point. There's a script console, and clicking one of the options, we at the time, we just didn't have any specific options assigned to anything. So we decided that if the user clicks on any of the options that is dedicated to sharing work or with teammates, then they would be able to invite people and then create a team and then work on a project together and edit code and stuff. And moving on to the mock-up, we made it a bit more detailed, adding all that user profile and running, and it pretty much does the same thing. And when you actually click on the option dedicated to creating a team and making a group to work together, it would create this pop-up that the user is able to invite people to the group and create a team name, and then moving on, they could work on the project together. And here is the prototype for the user story 4.
Hello, and this prototype demonstration is for the 4th user story. As a programmer working for a company, I want to be able to share my work with my coworkers so that we can work on project together at the same time, offering feedback and comments. And the idea came from coworkers should be able to work on a project together at the same time and be able to leave feedback on others' works using the comment function. And the reason why this addresses one of the biggest coding issues with synchronous collaborative programming is that usually programmers would have to go through using Git commit and stuff like that, and it's a lot of time. It consumes a lot of time, and it's a hassle to do that. That's why our prototype, our program, allows programmers to be able to code at the same time without any time constraints or any hurdles blocking them coding together. And so coming to the prototype, if you click on Teams, it would allow the user or the head of the group, the team leader, to select the users, specific users like this. And when you create a group, and then you can create a team name right here, like as it said. And for example, I'm going to give it a name of Team Alpha, and you submit. And the groups will be created, and they could go ahead and start working on their project again. And if they wanted to make another group or team, then same thing, press on team, and then invite whoever you want to, and click submit again. And instead of Team Alpha this time, it will be, it will be this time, and you can change it to maybe Team Beta or Team Charlie or something like that, and then just get to work.
Well,
Just get to work.
okay. So now comes to like user 5, which is about, as a student, I want to see my teacher's comment and I want to make real-time comments. Like, for example, if a lot of students are working on the same thing and they want to make comments and they want to see their instructor's comments, so we do have a commenting sort of feature in our application. So our design evolved from these 3 basic ideas. Like the first one would be about having a small comment panel over here, where like each person, like each member and administrator, they can comment on the same time. Here, the student can select a specific line and make a comment separately. That would make it more like messy in a way that like it would be hard to see who commented on what. And here is a comment based on a specific execution. So if you have any concern about this thing, you can ask a comment about this thing. But this idea is more generalized, so we use this as our final solution. So in the mockup, we have made a mockup in a way that like you can see the student or a teacher, like whoever the member is, he can make comments over here. He can refer to a specific line. He can refer to a specific execution. So here is a more generalized sort of view. And now comes to its prototype, so you can see how really things evolve.
Which is about, as a student, I want to make comments on my program, and if I have any concern, any issue, I need to time, discussion, and collaboration. And this specific prototype is going to address that real-time collaboration issue. And I will show you its demonstration. And as a user, while doing some work over here and I have some concern and I have some issue, I would like to ask my professor or whoever is the instructor. So I type something in the comment and I am waiting for the response. So if the teacher responds about something, he will write his response and I am now receiving the real-time feedback. So that is how the real-time discussion is going on. And if I want to ask something more, if I just want to say thank you, so I just type it and then that's it.
Okay, well, so now comes to last user story, which is for a student. I want to ask a question in a private way, so the system should allow me to do that. So in that specific, like for that specific user story, we came up with different ideas. The first one would to have a same sort of panel over here, like in which you can ask questions, and there could be a different idea for which like you can ask questions in a big panel and a small for frequently asked questions. And then there is a more generalized view where you can see both of those things on the same time. So we take up this idea, and then we have our final mockup in a way that you can see both Q&A and like FAQs on the same time on the same view. And that is how our design evolves. And finally, we will show you its prototype.
6, which is about asking a private question to the professor. So, for example, if I'm a student and I'm working on something and the professor is teaching in a class and I am hesitated to ask those questions. So this specific program allows the student to ask private questions, and it also allows student to see some frequently asked questions about that specific program. So this specific user study is going to address that engagement of students sort of thing. I will demonstrate how it works. So here, I'm working on a specific program and I'm writing something, and while the teacher is teaching on the same time, so I want to ask a question which I do not want to be visible to other students or other persons. So how can you do that? I am going here. I will see here is a complete portal of Q&A and FAQs. And here I type my question. For example, if I have a concern about something, I type over here, and then I wait for the response. And I'm getting the real-time response from the instructor. And if I want to ask more question, I can do that. And this application allows students to do in a private way. And I can also type thank you and all. And if I want to see some frequently asked questions, I am using it over here. I can see all the frequently asked questions over here. So I can see all of them. And that is about the user story 6, which is about engagement of the student in a private and secure way.
Well, Afsana?
At this point, we are going to talk about the testing protocols. At the next slide, we will see the research question. So the question for our project was the testing approach for our project is how collaborative learning tools can affect students' learning rate, and if it is assisting teachers to enhance students' engagement and student engagement feasible. The point is that somehow this question is answered in milestone 2 because there are some researches are conducted in this field, but here the question is stated in order to find a testing protocol for that. The testing methodology that we found is just the experimental group testing. Many papers are written in this field, and also the group testing is an instructional tool that incorporates a group component to traditional individual testing to assess a student's learning. And also after an individual test, students form groups to retake the exam or part of the exam, and grades from these exams are a combination of the individual and group scores. We know that in education settings, assessments are designed to measure a student individual mastery of materials with no help from peers or other sources. And as an alternative to this traditional format, a group collaboration component can be added during which students work together to answer the same set of questions. So the student's final grade is a combination of individual and group test results, and the key benefits of group exam techniques are here. So the first one is just the students learn at the same time when they are assessed. It is just mentioned in references number 2 and 3. Also, the students receive immediate feedback on how they did on the test, and students are motivated to engage in discussion, debate, and peer instruction activities. Also, lower achieving students benefit from receiving explanation from their peers and learn from their mistakes, and also higher achieving students benefit from participating teaching to their peers and further strengthening their learning. And also, students learn to develop interpersonal communication skills and positive relationships with other students, as is mentioned in the reference number 4. So
The results show that the collaborative learning method has extra features compared with traditional methods, and for example, discussion environment, social interactions, and opportunities of criticism, which increase students' disposition toward critical thinking. Also, furthermore, collaborative method enhance creativity without affecting innovation and commitment. And based on the evidences, it can be inferred that collaborative method increases joy of learning in classrooms, so we can provide context for detection of group creativity in students.
Yeah, Peter.
For the testing procedure, there will be two parts, and the first will the test will have two groups of students, at least second year students in college learning how to code. And for the second test, we will send out emails to tech companies asking for their cooperation with the test with their programmers. And for before we start all the testing, we will ensure that all the test subjects, students, teachers, and programmers are aware of what is going on throughout the test and understand why we're doing the test. And the test will continue for at least one semester of the academic calendar for students and teachers to ensure that the data collected is accurate. And throughout the testing period, the tool's effectiveness will be checked by collecting test scores and project grades and comparing them to each student's past scores before using the tool and after using the tool. And we will let them know how the testing will be done and ask volunteers to participate in our studies. The programmers who agree to participate in the survey will be divided into two groups and assigned a collaborative project. The first group will use the tool while the other group will work as they have before, and we will be asking for their experiences using it. For the students, two groups, the one using the tool and the other one not, and the test scores of projects will help determine the effectiveness of the tool. And like I said before, the scores of the students in both groups will be compared to their past scores, see if there's any improvement. So there's no comparison done between the groups, it's within the groups. And for the programmers, they'll be divided into two groups as well, one working with the tool and the other one not. And to determine the effectiveness, we will measure the time taken for the groups to finish the project. And the programmers in the first group using our tool will be asked to share their experience working with the tool, and that will also help us determine the effectiveness of this test. And for the pandemic issue, there definitely will not be any issues with it because our solution is a website that is all based online, and all the tests can be done online, having the participation done through in office or at home, students at home and workers at home. And therefore the testing procedure will be safe during pandemic.
Well, so we are done with this presentation, and me as Latif, I have worked on the compilation of the prototype. I have made a basic structure of the whole system in the Figma, and about learning of from the specific project, I have learned about how to work with Figma, how to make like wireframes, mockups, and then like fully interactive prototypes before going into the actual development. And I was already familiar with these sort of things, but this specific project helped me a lot in a way that I am now able to make such sort of solutions. No, Afsana.
So I basically, although all of us just work with each other on all parts, but basically and mainly I work on the first two user stories, which were the admin just tries to send comment into individual or everyone, and also to form a groups. I worked on its kind of ideation, wireframes, mockup, and prototype designing. And what I liked about this project was how to work with Figma, because I think it will be useful for my future professional life. And also I understood the role of the collaborative learning, and I think it matters a lot to many institutes that try to build this kind of foundation.
And I mainly I focused on user story 3 and 4 and coming up with all the mockups, wireframe prototypes. And through this milestone, I learned that there is so much you have to go through and so much you have to consider to actually come up with a program and application. And it was kind of hard also learning how to use Figma and stuff. And although it was difficult to use and frustrating at sometimes to use Figma, but it was actually enjoyable to go through all the interactions and find out what it can do.
And
Right.
I just wanted to mention that I just forgot to mention that I worked on the testing protocol, the first part too.
Yeah, I also forgot to mention that like I also have worked on the user story 5 and user 6. I have made up like wireframes, its mockups, and final its prototype as well. So
And I guess I also
Yeah.
forgot to mention that I worked on the testing procedure part. Yes.
yeah, so like that is a whole collaborative work. So we all help each other in each of these things. So like none of actually none of us has worked like individually separately. So we have helped each other in a very good way.